Hey, it is the last day of the first month of a new decade. How are you doing? I am curious as to how this month has been for you so far and what it says about how the coming year is going to be for you and where you're going to wind up at the end of it, so that at the end of this decade you can return to this image and ask yourself what angle you were looking at beauty from. Because depending on what you're focused on, completely determines how much beauty you're able to see. And then also, even just to know that there's more coming and that the hummingbird comes to suckle, because the hummingbird represents joy. These are things that I hope your month was full of, and I hope your month to come is full of too. I also want to let you know you have a chance now to let go of those things that interfered with the beauty or your perspective of it, your ability to see it. It's not about what actually happened, it's about what you thought happened, what you felt happened. It's the stories we convince ourselves of us. It's the stories we convince ourselves of that determine how we are looking at the world, how much beauty we're able to see, how much extra we're able to add into the view, simply because of an expanded perspective, and then the ability to narrow things down by coming back to the beauty that is your life, if you are willing to embrace all of you instead of just one perspective of what you thought was what was beautiful. What was really beautiful was the whole thing. What was really beautiful was the whole thing. All of it. Top to bottom. These are the things we must remember as we judge ourselves for not being perfect, as for not doing what we thought we would have done by now. When we forgive ourselves of our trespasses, when we trespassed against God. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. We were raised with these prayers, these mantras, and then we left the church because somehow it didn't fit our mold any longer. Our nucleus, the family, the light, the view, the perspective. It's all the way out here then, right? You can still get it all in. It's just you gotta fit the family in there too. And that's so symbolic, because once people have a family, it's like that family becomes their focus, except for the ones for whom they prioritize something else. And then this message gets ended on the note that you can change your next month, next year, based on what you choose to leave in January tonight. So, before the end of the day, go through your month before this one, and this one too, and reflect. What did you do well? What didn't you do well? What needs to change? What can stay the same? What can be improved? What needs to be left altogether? And what needs to be started? What are you not doing that you need to be doing? These are the questions. There's, you can even draw a chart with 4 quadrants, 4 boxes, and then, stop, continue, start, change. Those are your sections. And then fill in the behaviors that need to be started, be stopped, be changed, or started, stopped, changed. What else is there? Continued. Just keep it the same. So boring, I forgot. That is very significant, actually, for the fact that I have been given a diagnosis of bipolar, and it's making more sense now as I am open to receive and perceive it. But I don't let it define me. It didn't change anything. I was this before I got the diagnosis. It's just official now. Official. What does that mean then? I'm not taking medication. I'm learning self-regulation. I'm learning to play at a higher level, this game of being human. I'm learning to play the game of being human at a higher level, and I've been finding other players who also play at a high level. And I've been asking them questions for a long time, and I've been studying modern psychology, and I've been studying ancient wisdom, and I've been learning from some of the modern greats, and then the greats who came before us, before them. The books whose legacy lives on in the ones that read those words and then do something with them. Nothing changes until we change. Nothing changes for us until we are willing to change ourselves, and then everything changes. We have to really be clear, though, that we're choosing in every moment what to start, stop, change, or continue. What are you choosing? How is it serving you? And what are you going to do about it? Those are the only questions that you really need to ask yourself if you really want to see the beauty of the light and all that is available to us, if only we are willing to have a whole view instead of just focusing on what maybe we don't like quite so much, or getting too much of even a good thing. And then even that is too much. So moderation is the key to things, everything. Bipolar is simply living in the extremes. My mom always says, why do you gotta be so extreme, Laura? I didn't know, but I'm bipolar. So then, though, I wear that label then as a badge. I'm bipolar. Proudly declaring it, I have a diagnosis. Well, I think that can be rested. And instead of saying I am, it's just like I have. It's a behavior. It's a chemical reaction that takes place inside of me if I don't regulate myself better. So I say this all because as somebody that does have a mental health issue, because I am an extreme one, what if I have just had to go through this experience in order to learn how to self-regulate, in order to then share that with others and help them during their existential crisis that comes with the dark night of the soul? What if I needed to actually get the diagnosis of bipolar and not be afraid of it, and not to be ashamed of it, and to not hide it, and try to pretend that it doesn't exist until if it rears its head and I haven't nipped it in the butt, or I haven't been so open as to not be ashamed, and then to be able to say like, hey, you're, but then that doesn't give anybody else permission to tell me that and expect that I receive it as freely and graciously as what I receive it from me, because ultimately I'm with me all the time. And you who watches this, no offense, and I greatly appreciate you for tuning in, and I say thank you for doing so, but just because you're watching me doesn't mean that you know who I am. You just get to see the part of me that I'm showing you, as is the case with everyone else too. And so the question we have to understand is the role that we play in our lives, and then the faces that we wear, public or private. Which masks are we wearing and where, and why? I hear my papa is up. That's so exciting. He's going to emerge. And then I'm going to turn the camera around and be able to say, Papa, say hello to the world. And some people don't quite like that because older people sometimes don't really get the importance of what we place value in doing, which is this virtual posting and living. Like, I placed more value at times on my virtual reality through Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, where I was just so active but not being smart about it, that it became more real than my real world in some ways. And so it's learning how to navigate all of that. And I think this message has helped me better understand a lot of things about myself too, because that's what talk therapy does. And so sometimes I had a coach once who said, I always feel so amazing after a coaching session. And when we were working together, and we get who we are in life and we get what we need at the time when we need it, right? And so basically, as my coach, I would show up in my drama and trauma state of being a victim in that culture and, wanting somebody to help me understand and, give me the answers and the tool book and the guide and all of that. And it's just like, she then would listen to my story and then tell me what had happened to her that week and then how she had solutioned it and then how I could solution it. So there was a lot of positional dynamics between us, right? Because if one has the answers and one has the questions always, then there's a big power dynamic. But what if we actually became people who understood that coaching in its truest sense has the one listening as the coach, not the client? I was in a relationship with my coaching instructor, mentor, for 4 years, and it was drilled into me that coaching is 99% who you are, 1% technique. But that technique is important to learn the framework for and then practice and use as a foundation to keep us feeling safe. Because if we know what to expect, we can navigate that change process faster, easier, more confidently, more comfortably. And that's what the course that I am launching in February is designed to do. So if you're still watching this video 12 minutes in, like, props, thank you, I appreciate you. And then also, why? If you're still tuned in now, join my program. It's a pilot, and so I'm going to be doing 4 live calls plus 66 days worth of emails that lead us up to near Easter, which is going to be a ceremony of rebirth and transformation in and of itself to then welcome us into what comes after Easter. And then talking about all of this time, about energy, myth, symbolism, and also reality as it stands now. So, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your month. And then I hope you have a spectacular month to come based on what you choose to start, stop, continue, or change now. Make your list. Make your list and check it twice. And then go out and be super nice to someone without jeopardizing or dishonoring yourself and your own boundaries. And we'll talk about that another day. Laura J. Namaste. The light in me honors the light in you. Thank you.